All right, so this is going to be a little bit of a pretentious monologue, and I apologize for that. If it bothers you, please feel free to click off the video at any time. But I've just been kind of getting a little down lately and a little bit bothered by all of like the marketing and all of the advertising that I'm being asked to do recently, just as an artist and an author in 2025. And even if I wasn't being asked to do it, I still recognize that I have to in 2025. And I just feel like I'm giving so many concessions about certain aspects of, my work that I'm uncomfortable with, and it's just kind of beginning to take its toll. And I thought that I would just kind of take this time to lay out my thoughts on why, and just kind of where I stand on, the importance of separating art from the artist. So I've always kind of just thought that the purest form of art you can possibly attain within any medium is art without context. Art that just exists. Whoever's viewing it, whoever's reading it doesn't know who created the art. They don't know why they created the art. It's something that truly stands alone, a monolith to its maker. And I just think that there's something really, really beautiful about that. And I think that we've kind of entered into this era where art really can't exist without context. Everybody has to know the artist, what his motives were, his or her motives were, what he was doing. And while that was once kind of a fun little anecdote, I think it's now become necessary in order for someone to make it as an artist today, to an extent, that like certainly as an author. It's kind of a reality that I've started to understand since I've kind of really dived nose deep into this industry. And I don't know, it definitely makes me a little bit uncomfortable. I'm making these YouTube videos, which is not something I ever thought that I would do. I have an Instagram, which is not something that I ever thought that I would do. And I'm doing this because I don't have the resources to market myself in a very wide breadth. And it's, by choice, I am choosing to do this, which I think is okay. And it's because I don't trust people who don't know me to portray my work appropriately. And again, that's fine. It's a personal choice. I haven't been scorned in that area. It's not like rooted in anything other than me not wanting to trust my own ignorance. You hear horror stories of people all the time who trust themselves, their work, and their brand with people that they don't know, and they get taken for a ride, they get misrepresented, or they just get banished from their own work. It does happen, and it's not something that I want to have happen to me. My work's just too important for that. So I have decided to, to do it this way, which means that I'm bearing the brunt of all of this on my own. And I feel like it's a little unfair to bitch about that because, again, it's a personal choice, one that I've made. No one forced me to start a YouTube channel. No one forced me to make an Instagram. I just acknowledged it as being a necessity, and I still get told by a lot of people, pretty much everybody in my life who is more internet fluent than me, which is just about everybody in my life, all of the extra things that I need to be doing. And I've basically come to the understanding that I am doing the bare minimum to make, to get eyes on my work. And I don't know, that's just a little frustrating because I feel like I have conceded so much, and people are just, telling me that, that it's just really not that much. I need to have, at least 7 social media platforms, and I need to be posting on them X amount of times a day, at this time. And it's it's a little annoying in one hand, but it's also not in the other because I just know I'm not going to do it. It's not annoying because I'm bogged down with oh no, I need to do all this stuff. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to. And maybe I'm just being given bad advice because it's not like I'm really being given this advice by industry professionals. I'm just being given this advice by people who spend a fair bit more time on the internet than I do, which is okay. It's not a knock on them. I don't think that they spend a super unhealthy amount of time on the internet. It's just something that I don't do a crazy amount of. Quite frankly, due to a lack of time. I've got like drawing and books to write and also a real job. So maybe if I had the time, I would. But I don't know. Like it's just I think that that's something that we should really endeavor to take a step back from as consumers. I really do believe that to an extent, every word that you expend attempting to explain why something is art kind of diminishes from, its credibility, right? I mean, and again, I really apologize if that's like an unfounded claim. I know a lot about art history. It's really interesting to me, but I don't spend a whole lot of time with people who also can like bounce their ideas off of me. I'm the only one that I know who cares about like the different eras of art. But it's just where we're at now. Like, art only matters within context. And that's really, really frustrating for someone like me who never wanted to be known as an artist. Like, there's just not, like, I just really do feel like I don't have that much to say. Which is, I also, like, that might even, like, lose me followers on this, which is really unfortunate, because I'm making, like, videos fairly often, but it's just difficult because everybody says so much, and if I'm being completely honest and transparent with anyone who's watching this video, I feel like so much of what I've even said in these videos is just, it's not something that really needed to be put out there, it's not super enriching to a lot of the people that watched it, and I'm doing it out of necessity, and I don't abhor doing this. I actually do enjoy making these videos more than I thought that I would, because I was really what I was really afraid of putting myself out there on the internet was I was afraid of presenting a version of myself that wasn't genuine and that people would see me as being better than I truly am. And I think that YouTube and like these more longer form snippets are the easiest way for me to maintain my authenticity. So it's not all bad. I do kind of enjoy making these videos, but even still, like, the most profound things that I have to say are in my books and through my artwork. And, I really wish that was all that I had to say. And I know that it's not. And that's just kind of where we're at. And I suppose that's all right. I do suppose that that's okay. But I'm still just kind of getting used to it. Yeah. I think that it's something that we could maybe endeavor to counter just a little bit. I don't even necessarily know how we would go about doing that, because it's at the point now where we're not asking for it. I think that the reason that this became mainstream was because people saw like a super cool piece of work, whatever it is, like some form of media, movie, video game, book, art piece, and like they started asking to know more and more about the artist or the author, and where in times past that wasn't as possible. Now it's so much easier to get a platform that if there's a need, if there's a desire to understand this individual and they present themselves, it's just a much more seamless integration. Whereas, years ago it couldn't be. But even I say that, like, you look at Renaissance artists and, really prolific speech artists and authors and traditional artists for their time. There's plenty out there that were globally famous, that were commissioned by popes and kings and oligarchs to paint and to write. So like, I guess this desire isn't necessarily new. I do understand that. It's something that has persisted throughout the ages of probably, I would imagine, documented human history. But I would argue, maybe argue poorly, I would argue that up until recently, it wasn't a necessity. Again, maybe I'm just wrong. I might just be wrong. I don't know. Maybe I am like looking at history with rose-colored lenses and just being completely ignorant to what I'm talking about. This is what it feels like in my not insignificant knowledge of artistic history. Because I could name several famous paintings, and same like famous series of paintings that like almost nothing is known about the author. But I guess you'd find that today. I mean, there are anonymous artists today. There are. But they usually are anonymous not due to like the mysticism behind their existence. They're usually anonymous because they wear a face. They wear like, maybe, I don't know, they're a faceless creator, or they like wear a mask or something like that, where it's like they are still very much active in community in the context of their art, but they just go by a different name. And I've thought about that, and I kind of almost wished that that's how I started this, but I already also knew that it couldn't stay a secret. Like, the dudes that I serve with, my friends and family, so many people have read the early drafts of my manuscripts that, like, the moment that I started publishing these books, someone would let it slip that, like, oh, hey, I know this guy, like, I know who wrote this, and then I'd get on the internet, and then it's like, okay, yeah, there's no hiding it, which is fine, if it's a path that I wanted to pursue, like, I would have had to have done it much earlier. So here we are, and yeah, so that's just kind of what I've been thinking about recently. I do enjoy doing this. I really don't want to sound ungrateful. I am so incredibly grateful that I live in a time where something like this even exists, where I have the option, I have the free will to choose not to give my work to industry professionals to do with it what they will. I have the full autonomy to do with my work what I see fit. I am so privileged to have that opportunity. I am more privileged than any author or any artist has ever lived before me. Like, it's absolutely incredibly crazy. I wish I had started the video with that preface, because I think that it's really, really important to acknowledge just how privileged I am to be writing in this era. I just wish that, I wish I could take all of the good and leave all of the bad. Again, it sounds really entitled. I apologize for that. Separating the artist from the work. Maybe that's what I'll title this video. I just turned my camera on. This one wasn't pre-planned at all. None of my videos are pre-planned. I'm not going to even act like they are. I usually just turn my camera on. But yeah, I'll hold up a piece of artwork for the thumbnail. I've at least got that down. I know what thumbnails are supposed to be. I need to hold up a pretty picture so that everyone can, so it's not clickbait, so I can throw up a pretty picture and this is the boom. I'll smile or something, this is the picture we're holding up for my thumbnail. It's a venery, the only true face shot that I have in my first book of Stone and Steel, coming out very, very soon. Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. Maybe I did say something profound in this.